So, but second semester, everything we write that involves a sentence that you turn in will be in pen. Yeah. We have to get used to it. Pen is easy to write with, it really is. But I understand mistakes. Yeah, just remind me. You got to take that chapter 12 quiz.
So if you like to mess up with pen and you cross it out, if you like end up messing up a lot and crossing stuff out, will they mark you down?
If it's really small.
Okay. But like if you make it just like put a line through it and
Just
stuff,
put up one line.
they're not gonna mark you down.
They won't.
Okay.
No, they will not. Now, but every person grading is an individual. And if they think it's really sloppy, they might. I mean, I'm just telling you because people can't escape that. And don't do what I would do. You try not to do that. Just put one line through it. And oh, there's one more thing I'll just tell you now since it's on my mind. Let's say you write it and you're done and you're like, oh, I forgot like a key point. If you do it like once in an essay, make that little asterisk. You know what I'm talking about where you asterisk. You can do that once in an essay. Any more than that, they start it's too confusing. Because I've done that. You've probably done that. Okay, so back to this. Thesis statement, really important. Because this gets, it's not just for the AP exam, but this does two things. It tells the person grading it, assessing you, how you're going to answer the question. It lays it out for them. They read that and they think, I know exactly what I'm going to get. And if your essay follows your thesis, they're automatically thinking, this person is well organized, this person knows what they're talking about, I like them and want to give them a good grade. In fact, on the AP exam, part of it's a vague point for your essay, for either one of the essay is organization. And what's organization? Following your thesis. That is why in reality, there are 2 of the 6 points are the thesis statements. 2 of the 6. It's kind of a big deal. But the other thing it does, and this is the most important thing, it tells you what you're writing. You write a good thesis, you're organized. Now go and get the paper. Oh, so I handed out the other day, you have the paper on writing an essay. Yeah, you know. Okay, good. So this is basically taking, I think it's C on there, the thesis statement. This tells you what you're doing. Everybody, when they start writing, they start doing the same thing. I did it, you did it. You know, they just start writing, they just want to finish. Especially in a timed essay, the clock's running, like, I gotta get done, gotta get done. That is when you forget things. Or let's say on the AP exam, and you just did 55 multiple choice. You did short answer questions, which are 3, or which are 9 short IDs. And then you have 2 more essays to write. And your hand is starting to cramp up. And you're tired, and you forgot your own name. Right? Right? If you have a good thesis statement, that brings you back. You can, okay, I know what I'm supposed to write. So that's fair. I'm organized. I feel good about it. I can finish this thing. And you start writing this in your hand. Yeah.
Thesis statements are what separate valedictorians and people who have to cheat in order to write their name.
Not necessarily, but yeah, they do help. So there are 3 parts, and I label them X, Y, and ABC. Why? Because the reason I do that is so I can say no X on your thesis. And the first part of the thesis statement is the topic, the theme, or the era, something about the question, the prompt, the main elements. And I refer to that as X. If the essay question is asking you behind, what were the major factors of the Industrial Revolution, you would say there are many factors that led to the Industrial Revolution. That's your X. The Y is now. When I got this, I took this from somebody. I did not make it up, but I liked it partially because I think this way. So it makes it easier for me to present. I have a math degree too, so I think very logically. But that doesn't make me right. Thinking logically, being thoughtful doesn't make you correct. It's just a process of thinking. But I like this because then the Y, X due to Y. Y is, it's called your position, but think of it as what's tying the whole thing together, what ties your paragraphs together, what ties your position on the prompt. That's the why. And that's the hardest part. But if you get that, you've got a complete essay. You've got it. That is something like, oh, the person grading, okay, this person's good. And then the last part, and it can be 2 sentences, because boy, these can be long sentences. So it doesn't have to be just 1 sentence. This is something I stole from the College Board years ago, the blueprint. And the blueprint is literally A, B, and C. It's a 5-paragraph essay, A, B, and C. A, that's what you write in your first body paragraph. B is your second body, C. And I know you've already seen a lot of this, but I want to make it very clear. But what is the why then? The why is something that connects these 3 together. So if they're all about the arguments over slavery, all about trying to break away from the British, all about the new economic system of capitalism. I'm just throwing things out there, something that tied the 3 together. It doesn't need to be earth-shattering, but it needs to be a real thing. It could just be disagreements over slavery. Yeah. Oh, I didn't get one. Yeah. Does anybody else not have a copy of this writing tips? Thank you for saying that. In my head, I get it. I get it. Someday you too will be. Need one? You have one? Oh, that's your special topics curriculum.
Oh, yeah, it's like one folder, so.
Well, it's better than no folder. All right. So the basic element, if I'm looking at X, due to Y because of A, B, and C, but something like that. And the words like looking at, or although, or however, because, something like that. So something does something because of reasons. What are the reasons? A, B, and C. We're not going to worry about this last one. We'll get to that one in a second. But this is the basic. Don't worry about this one yet. This is the basic tenet. By looking at X, one can see Y. It's important because of A, B, and C. That generic template. Now, I agree, it's not the most creative way to do a thesis statement and an essay. And if you're writing one where you have time to go through it and do a rough draft and look at it, yeah, I don't recommend this. But if you are sitting there now 40 minutes, go plug it in this and write. You don't have time to reinvent the wheel. And it works. It is a very effective formula. So, back to one more thing. Remember, because of A, B, and C, A, that is the topic of your first body paragraph. B is the topic of your second body paragraph. C is the topic of your third body paragraph. Does that make sense? You follow that basic tenet. You're organized. Obviously, you got to get examples, you got to write material down, you got to relate it to real facts, people, places. But that's the element. Let's do a sample. Are you ready? What is the philosophy behind the Declaration of Independence? Now, we look at everything about the philosophy. I gave you 3 basic elements of the philosophy. Do you remember that? Equality, all men created equal. All men are endowed with what? Inalienable rights. And you remember that term for governments are created to protect rights if governments infringe on those rights. Say it again. Social contract. We have 3. What ties them all together? You know, there's Enlightenment thinking, justification to break away from Britain, justification for becoming an independent country, something to tie it all together. Let's look at a sample thesis, a very basic, simple thesis. That's nothing fancy at all. Basic element, X by Y. So it's talking about how the British were infringing on these policies so to justify the British. A, B, C. Now, what did I tell you? Each body paragraph is like a what? Aren't you doing a short idea on equality? All you need to do is add a topic sentence. That's the only differences. In the short ID, for time reasons, I don't make you do a topic sentence. Just add a topic sentence about equality, about equality. We have one or two examples. If you have time, give another example. This is a longer essay. Show why it's important. Make sure it's in the context of the question. That's all it is. That is literally all a body paragraph is. That's why when I do short ideas, I like those because I chunk up the writing part of an essay. And you wrote three in about three short ideas. Mostly took about 15 or 20 minutes. Remember the last test? It's not bad at all, right? Yeah. You can use that. In fact, and we'll talk more about that when we write about the actual essay itself. Yes, we can use those skills, but the big thing is in my class and for an AP US history class, you need to make sure you get those facts down. So you can't just write, or you just can't write in an essay format and think that'll be enough for grade. You have to really get down the issues about equality, all men are created equal, equality of opportunity, equality of the law. And they never really address the issue of what it meant to be equal, something like that. Yeah. You have to, basically, you have to, and while you're doing it, you have to, a little bit argumentative because you have to prove your point. So you have to prove your thesis, but yeah.
Do you want me like a whole?
Not for this, no. Now, a little bit later on, they'll ask questions like evaluate, then we'll worry about the counter, but the counter will be the same format. So we'll get to those. So it's a really nice little system. And all three of these short IDs, you have to have something about the why, but that fits in with why it's important. So let's look at another question. The causes of the Civil War. That'd be a good essay question test for tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah.
You guys know this, all right? We're ready. You know about the, all right. So this bad thesis statement. Numerous, thanks. So there's no blueprint. This is not a why. It's too vague. Kind of an A, right? But that's it. Next one, I'll scroll up. Another pro quality. No why, economic, way too vague. I want specific ones like dealing with the Industrial Revolution and social, ideological issues about slavery. Medium, it's not horrible, but it's what we would call weak. Civil War's caused by, it's lacking a what? A why, that thing tying it together. I get that a lot. It's weak. That means you haven't really gone through an analysis, came down this overarching reason why. It's in the territory. Now you do have a blueprint, so I know 1, 2, 3. I know where you're going, so you're more organized than these things. But it's weak. You need that why. And then very simple thesis. This is nothing special. Question. A good why. Because every essay I come back to the differences between the North and the South. Short ID. And then why is this last one a little better? And you know, it's just 2 sentences. A little bit more explanation by any means. Just a little bit more. A few more words, a little more explanation to show the person reading this that I know what I'm talking. A little bit more explanation. A, X, Y, first paragraph, the first body paragraph, second body paragraph, third body. Any questions on thesis statements? So tomorrow in class, I'm going to go through the factors of the Industrial Revolution, kind of a big deal. And then halfway through, I'm going to say, all right, let's do a thesis. And we'll do a thesis on what we just learned. And we'll go through X and Y, A, B, and C. And we'll do this, year goes by, I'll do every once in a while. Just, hey, we're doing a thesis. In April, we'll do it almost every you're going to get to love. But let's be clear. If you have something like that, if I read a thesis statement like that, I'm already thinking this person knows what they're doing. Even if they don't, they know. I'm already thinking that. If I get this. The problems leading to the American Civil War numerous, even if the rest of the essay is great, I'll look at that and think, I'll look at that and my first thought would be, this person didn't study, they're clueless, I'm going to get garbage. Hell, I'm human, I will do that. And wouldn't you think that? Boy, there's somebody who's winging this. I can't wait till they start talking about Pythagorean's theorem or something like that. They're just gonna be winging stuff. All right, so tomorrow we'll do a thesis statement in class and we'll talk more about this. I will give you the questions in advance before this first essay comes. I want you to have good thesis. I want you to be organized, sit down and write, but it is a test. It's a test. Did you hear what I said? It's a test. This is not free form writing. Let's see how creative you could be. But that's bad, but it's not for this class. You got to know the material and get me people. Examples of places, events, analysis, tie it together, what it led to. Yeah. I'm looking at next week, Monday or Tuesday. Or Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't want to do it Monday for obvious reasons.
Friday, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah. Can we on? No, just remind. All right, so, oh no, we'll be running. Just go on. When I mean we, I mean you. All right, so let's go ahead then and talk Industrial Revolution. Where did we quit yesterday? Okay, I love the transcript. It's recording my transcript and the words I'm saying make no sense on the transcript here.
What does it say?
I love the oh, actually, this is pretty good. It says I'm going to Pompeii. Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you do it later. All right, so let's take out our notes. Did we get to this?
We're the Monroe Doctrine.
Oh, Monroe Doctrine. Let's do that very quickly. Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine, you didn't have sugar. The Monroe Doctrine. Did we get this? Did we finish it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's quick get to the other one. So Henry Clay, a Republican from Kentucky, came up with an economic plan. Yeah, economic plan called the American System. And this is a national economic, or what we would call, if you're in economics, macroeconomics for the whole country. Micro is like one market. Whatever the market might be. You know, the car market, or the oil market, or the frozen concentrated orange juice market. That's micro. Macro and a national economy. And this is revolutionary. It was a protecting tariff. We've talked about this before. And there was an increase in tariff in 1816. He also wanted the Bank of the United States. More and more, they started calling the National Bank the BUS, the Bank of the US. That did pass, but the charter's out in 1836. And internal improvements, infrastructure, like the national road. But he wanted the federal government to pay for it because he knew that private money would not pay for roads, bridges, or railroads. At least not to most places. No private company would ever build a road to Helena because they wouldn't make any money. They might make a road from Philadelphia to New York and charge tolls on it, but not to Helena to Townsend. Because I think you know. So, they proposed this. You might look at that, okay, big deal. Oh, I should have this one, railroads, because this is going to be huge federal government expense. I should say the states can afford some, but remember interstate commerce and states don't have a lot of money. This is going to be debated for the next 50 years. Abraham Lincoln is going to join Henry Clay's party. Clay will start the Whig Party. And Lincoln will become a Whig, not just because he admired Henry Clay, but because he wanted this. get part of it as president. There'd be a little war, stuff was going on. But just huh? What? Well, let's get to the Industrial Revolution. I know what you're thinking. How do we know it's the Industrial Revolution? Look at this wheel. Look at this. You can't make that with wood and a hammer. By the way, what's this guy, this poor guy? Stand there so we can look at the wheel. Sit there. Yes.
So was there like two industrial revolutions? Like the one like now and then the one, or not now, but like that we're gonna talk about, and then the one like in the early 1900s.
Yeah, there's going to be the first Industrial Revolution. Coal and iron will be the key to that one. Beginning 1750s in Britain up to about 1850. And then the second Industrial Revolution, 1880s through like about 1920. And that one, electricity, steel. And the thing about the Industrial Revolution, it literally recreated the universe. Hey, the universe to me is just this classroom. No, it recreated the world. It really did. Everything changed. Everything before the Industrial Revolution was altered and would never be the same, ever. And I mean everywhere. The Industrial Revolution will change the economic system, the financial system, schooling, families, your expectation of the future, all of that would change. If they dropped us in the world, in the United States, when they were writing the Declaration of Independence, or even when Jefferson was president, and they dropped us into the United States, it would make no sense to us. None of us. Nothing would make sense. We'd roll up in the fetal position and cry.
We do that.
Right? Someone's already do that. And 1850, if they dropped us into the United States, it would start to make sense. It's kind of our world. And if they drop us in 1900, it's our world. It is our world. Oh, sure, there's more technology, but the roots of those technology were around in 1900. In fact, 95% of the world in 1900 is our world today. The basic elements of our life, you would find then. Everything from the car, electricity, telephone, flush toilets, all there. I know there are a few things, computer, plane, but they're coming. The bases are there. So I'm not exaggerating. This was a seismic shift to the country. And I should add, people in 1800, if they were growing up in 1800, they would roll. They were rolling up in the fetal position and crying by 1840. The world was scary. It's really going to change things. So let's talk about captions and subtitles. No. I don't know how I did that. And the first real hit that, wow, the world is going to be different, was the Panic of 1819. The first financial crash that would lead to an economic depression that hit. And this was different than any other economic depression that ever happened before. Britain had had these, but in the new United States, they didn't know what it meant. For the first time, there's more people than ever before working for a wage. And if their companies close their doors, they starve. It was totally different. And it was just a tiny little panic compared to what's coming. We'll talk more about what a panic is down the road. So let's get to the factors. What led to this seismic shift? So many different things came together. We'll go through the key elements. First off, it started in Britain. Britain started this. That's why Hamilton, reading about it, is like, oh, we got to get this. And Jefferson's like, oh, no, this is scary. I should add, one of the great art we changed dramatically because of the Industrial Revolution. I really like Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. One of my favorite artists, Claude Monet. Even though he was French, he was in Britain at the time, and he drew the London Bridge and painted it. I love Impressionism. But you can see the grittiness of the factories behind. Yes, I know when you get a flat picture on a screen, it's not the same as seeing it. But Monet is one of my favorites. Also, London Bridge is gone. London Bridge is no longer in London. There is a bridge they call London Bridge, but it's just basic, ugly 1960s bridge. Does anybody know where London Bridge is today? Yes.
Well, isn't it just like right next? But like,
They literally moved it brick by brick and took it someplace. Lake Havasu, Arizona. It's in western Arizona. Yes, London Bridge. Somebody who, there's people in this country that have way too much money. And yeah, he bought the bridge. It's true. It's in Lake Havasu, Arizona. Yeah.
Bought the bridge for 500 retail thing. So like,
I can't remember the name of the, then it was a millionaire, but
so someone could just buy like the bridge.
well, no, because it's not for sale.
Look at what.
London Bridge was for sale.
Why
Well-
would you sell it?
I don't know, potentially, sure. But London Bridge was for sale. Now, London Bridge is not brick by brick, or I'm sorry, Golden Gate is not made out of brick.
Yeah.
It's made out of balsa wood. No,
Theoretically.
this plane is made out of balsa wood. But theoretically, sure, yeah, if they were selling it. You want to? Someone bought the bridge at Craig over the river and it's sitting now. The frame is sitting by an old greenhouse. You
Yeah.
drive out Missoula. So yeah, people do that. I remember when they drove it down the street and had to jack up the power lines. We watched it from upstairs. Okay, moving on. The War of 1812. Yeah, I don't know why somebody would. That's somebody with a lot of money. Been a teacher. 1812, the War of 1812, that blockade, couldn't get those great industrial goods from Britain. That would lead to the Industrial Revolution era. So that's the British fleet at anchor at Portsmouth. But then the biggie, the Transportation Revolution. The Transportation Revolution is part of the Industrial Revolution and an effect of it and a cause of it. It's all related. The Transportation Revolution, in a way, is the Industrial Revolution hand in hand. But the War of 1812, they couldn't move people around, supplies around. The felt was they needed this. Yes, this is an American steam engine racing a horse. I just thought that was a good picture. But this is how long it took to move goods from New York City. And in red, that's 1 day. Remember, the whole world moved at 3 miles an hour. Yes, I know you could gallop a horse for a short distance, but you can't haul goods. Everything moved at 3 miles an hour. So just to get here from New York City goods is a week. You basically had to be self-sufficient. This is going to take too long. To get raw materials to a factory, too expensive. 6 weeks to get to what's going to become Chicago. Cincinnati, it says 3 weeks, but it's really expensive to go over the mountains. It was actually cheaper to go down the Ohio, down the Mississippi, and around. That's why New Orleans was so important. They don't even put here on the map because it is months. So that's the world. The changes are going to come in 3 big innovations. The first one, not a huge innovation, but roads started stretching westward. The national road, other roads would be built, but these road buildings, really expensive at that time. You have to crush the rocks, make the pavement. Most of them were dirt tracks. They might be corduroy, but corduroy didn't last very long. Do you know what corduroy in a road means? Do you know what corduroy pants are? Any kind of the bumps? Well, roads get really muddy. It's hard to put rock pavement, really expensive. So they would just put logs on the road. So you wouldn't get sucked into the mud. Yes, a really comfortable ride. And what do logs do? Yeah, they dissolve, break. But it's a short-term fix. Other than that, there were hardly any roads. In fact, dirt tracks and a few paved roads all the way up to the 1920s. And roads are really expensive. That's why Clay wanted the US government to pay for roads like this. But the bonus bill was vetoed. I told you about that yesterday. So there would be a few private turnpikes. A turnpike's a toll road. Lancaster, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, would be one of the first private roads. This is one of the first granite bridges. And if you get a chance, go there. You go along I-80, Interstate 80, and you could get off of that bridge. It's one of those, oh, that'll be neat. It's really cool. And this is what I drove across I-80 on, a Conestoga wagon. You can get that up to about 60 miles an hour. No, about 3. And it's a toll road. The problem is most toll roads don't make money. Because who's gonna pay to go to most places? The same thing about no one is gonna make a road to Helena. Be a couple places, but most places would never get connected by roads. That's part of the reason why Henry Clay wanted the federal government to do it. I should have, Interstate 80 across Pennsylvania is a turnpike. It's a toll road where you pay a toll to use the road, but that goes to the state government. And if you've ever been on a toll road, you stop about every 10 or 15 miles and pay a toll. And every time you come off the exit, that's why it's controlled, you have an exit to come on. Exit halfway down, there'll be a toll, you pay the toll for. It's a little bit different. I can't remember what it was, but it was enough for you to notice it, you just kind of throw the money in and take off. It's actually kind of cool. You're going on 2 lanes, and all of a sudden you go to 8 lanes for the tolls, and then it goes back to 2. So everyone gets to the toll road, and they throw their money in, and then there's a race to be the first one in front of the other ones, and that was kind of fun. Harder than a wagon. Okay, but the ton-mile cab by 1850, because of the roads, to 15 cents a ton-mile. Now you might ask, what's a ton-mile? That's the average cost to move a ton of goods. How far? 1 mile. But it's still really expensive. To this day, road transportation is significantly more expensive than the other forms of ground transportation or land transportation. But when there's more roads, it can be more flexible like today. And so next, canals. Water transportation is much cheaper. 3,700 miles of canals. Canals are hard to make. You know, if there's a hill, it's hard to make a canal. You have to go over the hill in the canal. Locks are very difficult to make. Same deal is there's a valley. You either make an aqueduct or you go down the valley. You cut through. It's really hard. But 3,700 miles, it's so much cheaper to go on water. Ocean, canals, or river. And so, for example, the Erie Canal system, go up Albany River, the canal across to Lake Erie. On the Lake Erie, then you take a canal here or canal here, catch the Ohio. It connected New York to here. This would have to go over passes, so you had to climb over. Casino, one of the first canals. It starts from just west of Washington, D.C., where the rapids are. There's a lot of rapids and waterfalls. It's right. It's not used as a canal anymore. It's a part of the National Park Service, and they have it. It's a hiking path, and it's really cool. I walked a couple days on it, and they have places to camp or even like a little bed and breakfast on each spot the Park Service runs. If you want to take a great hike, walk on it. It's not only beautiful, but it's canal, so it has to be pretty flat, so it's easy. Think about that. But you can go play. It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind doing that. They have services where they'll take your backpack to the next spot. I don't particularly like carrying it. And I did a lot of stuff, about 400 pounds worth of stuff. So it's kind of hard. So the Erie Canal system would be the most famous. This was done by the state government of New York with some federal aid, and it would connect near Albany to, why do you think there's a Buffalo? New York. That's where the canal is. And then branches off. Now the canal is still used, but it's not used for goods anymore. There are people use it. They have these long, little cruise boats, and people will spend 4 nights and just kind of be pampered on the canal. I don't know if I like that or not. They have the same thing on European canals. And so take about 8 years to make. Canals, the first one will be keel boats, and you notice it's hard to see here, but it's pulled by mules on the side. But steam power would change that. And that's why it's got to be flat. That's why there's a path on the side for the mules. That's why the C&O Canal is a great walking tool. One more thing. Here's pigs, and look at that pig. Look at that pig. Back in 1825, they had massive 4 or 5 ton pigs that roamed the countryside. And look at the ankle on that thing. That's terrifying. So with that, but at the same time, Robert Holt would make the first workable steamboat. There have been attempts at these with these brand new steam engines in England, but Fulton made one that the engine didn't explode. Which is good for the survival of the boat. But Fulton's first one, remember what I told you about portraits? His ship, the Claremont, no one thought it would work because it was so dangerous. That's why it was called Fulton's Folly. It worked. And so now the problem of going upstream or against the wind or without wind would begin to be solved. It's going to take a while. But once you have a steam engine, that means the boats can go from being wood haul to iron and steel. Heavier, stronger, can carry more, safer. I think you see where that's going. And so by 1850, or by 1830, I'm sorry, you can go a lot further, can't it? But not that much. It's still really slow, but at least only 3 weeks to the tiny little town of Chicago. So things are moving faster. The world is changing. And you can see here canals, rivers you can navigate. But do you notice what section most of the canals are being built in? Interesting, isn't it? The north. Partially because there's more rivers in the south, but there are other reasons we'll get to, obviously. And jump right to railroads. But then nothing would be bigger for the transportation railroad or revolution than railroads. Railroads would not only have triggered the Industrial Revolution, they would be an industry themselves to build the railroads and be an effect of the Industrial Revolution because you could make better railroads. It was this perpetuating industry. Railroads led to more industry, which led to more railroads. The first workable steam engine was in Britain, or steam locomotive, I'm sorry, called the Rocket. Tom Thumb would be in America, but this was more almost like a carnival ride. But bigger and faster engines would come. The Rocket, then Tom Thumb. You don't need to know Peter Cooper's. I just put it down to remind me I forgot the name Peter Cooper. If you ever get to York, England, they have a railroad museum, the biggest in Britain, and there's the Rocket. And I don't know who this guy was. I tried to take a picture with no one in it. And this guy just walked in right when I took the picture. And then it dawned on me, I should have had somebody in the picture. Because give you an idea of the size of the engine. I know what you're thinking. It could have been me, and I could have my wife take a picture of me. But I don't want people to steal my shot. And on that happy note, read my presence. Remember, thesis statements, main position, the why, A, B, and C. We'll do one. Talk a little bit about factors, and then come right to the thesis statements. Sound good? Sound fun? Hey, anything to give you a formula to make this kind of thing easier? Good thing. It's a good thing. I'm not saying it's going to be stressful. Oh, if you did not take the chapter 12 quiz, you got to do it tomorrow or come at lunch. Oh. That was 15 points. You can do better on this if you're going to be significant. But you didn't mention anything about fragment.
Oh, you're okay, so I don't want that.
Good. 3 bits on Why?
Absolutely.
I understand.
We all have. We do have.
It builds capacity.
Yeah.
Not even, it's hardly split.
Oh, I was trying to. That's a problem. I didn't see it. How about the multiple choice?
Play. Happy now? Go. Ready?
I would rather just.
Well done. Ready? Yeah, good sound.
I know that's like, yes,
No.
then my
You're right.
friends.
I do. I do.
I'm impressed. Take out your test I gave you yesterday at the end of the period, and also take out that sheet to write a thesis statement. We're going to York.
Like soda.
Happy now.
I definitely say soda.
Come on. All right, worksheet, the test. No. No. We got it here, didn't we? Didn't we get right to here?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the test very quickly. I'll hand back the, you need yours. You need yours. No, that's, oh. Here we go. We're also going to talk thesis statements. Yay. Brooklyn is gone. For me?
Well, sorry, you don't have.
What?
No, you don't need to. You can decide.
Wow. Yes. Oh yeah, you were gone too. You need your test. I knew I had yours. Okay. So this was out of. This is out of 80. I can put out 79, so it's 71 and above is an A. 72 and above is a B. 73 and above is a C. It's the new math. 71, 62, 53. Everyone get the, so take out your test. Also take out that sheet I gave you on how to write an essay question. Please get it out quickly. Phone is going away, or I get a phone. What? And okay, so on the test, some people got nothing wrong on the multiple choice. Some people missed quite a few. So I'm sorry if you missed a few on that. They will get easier. You have to do hard multiple choice. You have to get used to reading through them. Oh, one thing I should add, Somebody actually did on number 19, put down E. Somebody actually did. And I was gonna put they would be forced to, but I like the rights. You can do it or you don't have. See, that's the great thing about it. And it's in your car. But. Okay, so let's talk very quickly about the tests. Look at the ones you missed really quick. I know some, and I know some are hard. That's life. Look at me, go back and look at the ones you missed. You're like, oh, I can see why that's a D. You read my writing. Oh, if there's like a really big C, I accidentally marked it wrong. One thing you notice, I walk around when I grade. Can't help it. I hate sitting. And so sometimes my handwriting, which is already unique, gets uniquer. Sorry, that's just, you have to accept it. How many did you, what? Yeah. Oh, it would be neat because you have all caps everywhere. In the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you kind of got to do all caps on multiple choice. It's really hard to tell B, D. It just is when you're grading. Okay, let's talk about the short IDs. I thought people did very well on these, but I'm going to get the same field. Last time I'll do this, but I'll get the same field one more time because I want good short IDs. If there's one, just so we're getting used to it, and you do poorly on. Get 5 or more points off, I'll let you redo that one or 2 if you got 2. But I think next one, I'll give you a chance to redo that for most of the credit time. So I just want good short IDs. That's going to start going away. But I understand, especially early on, getting used to things, it's easy just to make a mistake. I had some people mix up the Whiskey Rebellion with the Shade. And it's going to happen. Obviously, that's going to have to become less frequent, but most people did really well. So let's talk very quickly about somebody chocolates. That was pretty fun. We know my nice tape job on it. You impressed? Because I care. All right. So everyone had to do Jefferson's philosophy, and you had to have something about pragmatism. And most people got that down. It mentioned, gave me a good example of that. But the other thing is you needed something else. Why was he doing this? What was going on? There's something about he did this because of his view towards the common man, or laissez-faire, or obsession with the West. So you just need a little bit more. So if I took 1 or 2 points off, you didn't have that. And I took more off if you didn't have pragmatism. But most people got the points. And these are each worth 15. So if you miss 1 point, you've still done well. All right, the next one are all about the Constitution. So you had to mention the Constitution in each one of the 3. A lot of people did the 3/5 compromise. And if I circled the top, that means because you didn't mention that this was part of the Constitution. People just wrote, there's a 3/5 compromise about vote or about counting the population. In what? Just guys in the street or these people got together, hey, let's compromise about how we count people. How to write the Constitution. You didn't have to go on it. Most people got 3/5 of the first towards taxation and representation. The other thing you really needed was something about swing power. How it gave the South a great advantage, electoral college, the House. Great compromise, same deal in the Constitution. We have the small state New Jersey plan, the big state Virginia plan. It tied those 2 together. And the great compromise. So the Senate would favor small states, and the House would be by population. Shays Rebellion. A few people answered that one. And the big thing about Shays Rebellion, issue about debt, mistreatment of veterans. There's a rebellion. And the US government was so weak, it couldn't put down the rebellion, showed all the financial problems. And that would lead directly to the Constitution. Had to have the Constitution. Okay, the other one, these are all elements of Hamilton's economic program. One is simply Hamilton economics. And needed an example, assumption bill, national bank tariff, something like that. But the big thing is for Hamiltonian economics, had to be something about funneling money to the wealthy, to the rich that would use it for industry or manufacturing. Had to have that. Needed that. Same thing, you needed something about industry or manufacturing, something for the other ones too. Because they're all about Hamilton's vision. The assumption bill, pay off the debt with a tax on whiskey. Get good credit to get more debt. To set up an economic system based on manufacturing and break small farmers. And Jefferson opposed that, but it would be passed, leading to the capital of Washington, D.C. Something like that. Huh? Yeah. Oh, that's for the other day. Yeah, let me do that. And so with that, the other one is Bank of the, or National Bank. And the big thing about that one is, you know, we didn't write a note yesterday. Yeah. Here you go, see if it's. All right, so with that, the National Bank, and remember Hamilton said it was an applied power and that we used to bring more banks, industry. Jefferson opposed this, not with very enumerated powers, but my movement would help, but it would pass and control the money supply, something to that effect. We just needed that last little part. Most people did pretty well on this. And I was pleased with the scores, most of the A's and B's. So that means the next test should be harder, correct? They will get harder, but you also get better. Just get used to it. And also, as we get closer, things start building up, things start connecting, it just becomes easier to get your arguments. It really does. And closer, you might know a little bit more too. You know a little bit more about the history coming in, it makes it easier to learn. Any questions? If I make a mistake, if I accidentally typed in the wrong grade, which can happen because I'm terrible at looking things on the computer screen. If I make a mistake, let me know, and I will take more points off because you publicly can. No, please let me know, and I will change the grade. Yes, I know. And but I'm sorry if I do that. Most of you, I'm not trying to get. Some of you, oh yeah, I'm out to get. But please let me know. Yeah. We do the essay test tomorrow. These things. Did I see tomorrow? Wow, we're doing thesis statements today. We're going to do the essay test next week. Did I really say tomorrow? No rest for the weary. Okay, can you get your test? Go and turn in your test form. I want it back, but when you get your test, I'll let you quickly. Just quick, borrow the test back and go back. I need the copies. The other.
I was like, wow.
But if you want to look at these ones you missed. It does benefit you. Don't give me that. I hope when you looked at the ones you missed, I hope they're at least similar like questions. There's always going to be a few. Like, I have no idea. Well, that's why. Hopefully, it just won't be that many. But we had a number of people miss none. And just because they just are more used to the multiple choice. One they didn't know, perhaps maybe they guessed correct, which yeah, that's life. Nothing wrong with that. We just hope you don't have to be in that position very often. And as the year goes by, it won't happen. There's going to be 55 multiple choice on the AP exam. They give you a little stimuli, you know, a little paragraph or something to help stimulate a memory. They're in a way they're easier, in a way they're a little more vague because you know how they draw, right? Choice questions for standardized tests. All of you know that. But this will help you because you're used to the more difficult ones. And as we get closer to the test, we'll do more like the APs. But remember, you have a wonderful review book that has all that material too. So let's talk thesis statements. So we're doing the big essay test tomorrow. So thesis statements, I'm kidding. So does everyone have the thing on how to write a thesis? or ride a Vanessa. He would not have this. Everyone have this? Please take it up. Yes, we're drawing the squid. Do you have this? This is atomic review. Somebody has one folder for everything. Okay, so. Oh, I think I'm still recording. I recorded third period, and I think I still have the camera. Everyone say goodbye. Say goodbye.